For the purposes of this video, I've created a new client just to make it easier to find at the very top of my list. So I'm going to go create a new development, and I'm going to choose that client. And what I've already noticed is that it doesn't even show up here. So I'm going to try to refresh this. That's something that has to be fixed. If a client or anything is created or updated, then the information needs to immediately be available for the user. So I'm back to add development, and there it is. Alright, so I'm very quickly going to put in some dates here. See that you've got still various styles in various places. And I'm going to continue along here. Approval deadline, or ship date, something else. Product name, a test item, program, testing. Licensor Disney, and Dalmatians. Let's make it a medium plush, 14 inch. Estimated quantity 10,000. Annual. Okay, factory one, I'm going to use Minton, and I'm going to choose delivery terms here just because it's absolutely necessary. And ship terms, let's use FCL. Alright, so I'm going to save and close this. I'm only using one factory for this particular example. Now it shows no vendor cost, no total cost, no nothing. And then what I want to do is I do want to make this a feature item with sound. Okay, so it's a feature item with sound. Now I can go here and I can add in my additional components. And this doesn't have to be done immediately, but I'm going to do it for the purposes here. I don't see here my item that I have called a feature item, so I'm going to try to refresh the screen again. And see what I find. Still not here. So I don't know why. What I'll do is I will switch over here to SY and go to quotes and enter revise a quote. And I don't see, well, not yet. Let's see. There it is, my item. Okay, and it shows that no quote has been submitted. $0. I think that's supposed to say new, something like that. So please double check that. If not possible, $0 and just highlight the cell somehow so that it's easy to see that it's a new item. Alright, so I'm going to create a quote. And I do believe that Minton is on detailed quoting, and this is not a detailed quote sheet, but that works for me for this example. So that's something else that's going to have to be looked at. And in my prior video, I showed you that this needs to go away. So, sample 1, quote 1, MOQ, I'll just put something in here. I'll just put the same number here. I'll put a cost FCL of 2.5. And submit. Okay, so now my vendor is submitting a quote. Submit. And that should take him back, not to this, that there's a transition issue here. It needs to go back to here where it would show that vendor that actually it doesn't even save. So it's not saving. Or I have to refresh the screen again. it shouldn't even show here anymore because it's been submitted. This is not working. It wouldn't even show here because I've submitted a quote, so quotes due to SNAP that wouldn't show here. It would have to show here under View Existing Quote Status. If the vendor has submitted the quote, then it sits on this list, and they watch to see what is our decision about that particular quote. So they have two lists. The first list is ones that they know are due to us and that they have to work through, and then the second list is what they've submitted and what they're waiting on us to decide upon. But right now this is not working. So let me go back to development and let me go to quotes from vendors, and let me see if I can enter a simple quote on my side. I'll do the same thing again though as as an SGS employee. And it shows that there's nothing here. Now, what I'm going to try to do here is I'm just going to say this is not necessary at all. I don't know if that shows on the other, but I'm going to add mechanism. I'm going to say 1 at 50 cents. So now my total cost is actually supposed to be sound. Save. 250. It's not working. It's not showing here. 50 cents. So I'm going to try something else. But I'm going to save my vendor quote that I've input as 250. Let me see if that takes. Okay, so that's showing here under my list as Kevin. And quotes from vendors. Let me see, where am I going next? Let me go to quote history. There's my $2.50 quote. What I might want to do is add another column in here with the user that has done the entry. Maybe we need to add under user initials or something like that so that we can put initials in so that we know who submitted this quote. I think that would be great if we can add in initials on the user screen and then add the user name right here at vendor quote, in between vendor quote and factory. Alright, so I'm in quote history and it shows that. Now I'm going to go to Snap Additional Components, and I'm going to see if I can't add that sound mechanism here instead of from within the quote. $0.50. It's not looking like it's taking here. I don't know why. Let me refresh. Nope. So I don't know what's going on here. This is why I'm not going to be able to show this system to anybody if it can't function a little bit better than this. Let me go back to here and see if it shows. It didn't take. It didn't take. If it did take, then what I would see in quote history, only with the latest quote, I would see total cost of $3 here. If I had already done 3 quotes here at let me show you. Let me just do it quickly and show you what I'm talking about. Let's say I haven't put any kind of mechanism cost. I'm going to enter another simple quote. It should be quote number 2 when I'm done. I'm going to go down 10 cents. 240. Save. Now it shows vendor quote amount 240. Then I'm going to do yet another quote. I'm going to go down to 230. Now it's at 230. Quote history. 250, 240, 230. Then let's see if I can't put in. I'm not sure why this won't work. One at 0.5. It's clearly saying 50 cents. It's clearly saying 50 cents there. I should not be able to change this, but apparently I can. And that's not right. Nope, that should not happen. That should just add up. This is not a area that I should be able to enter anything. It's not showing up. If I did that and came back to quote history, then that particular entry would only show up on the latest quote. And then if I changed it on the if I changed it from 50 to 60 cents, it would only affect that latest one. And then if I quoted again, if I had the vendor quote again and it went down to 220 and I changed the additional component to 55 cents, that would be 275 total cost. This one would still show as 280, and this next one would show as total cost 275. So it has to keep the history of those mechanism costs, just as it keeps a history of the quote and which quote number it was attached to. So as I change variables with the additional components, that has to change also. So I'm hoping you guys can get this to function correctly. We start with a new development. We ask the vendor to enter a quote. The vendor enters a quote, comes back to us for review. We make a disposition on it. Under here, quotes needing internal review, we change the status, we reject or revise or accept it. If we revise it, it's going back to the vendor for further consideration, and there's this back and forth, and then that quote history needs to show what's transpired. So hopefully this will help you guys understand what I need. Write to me, or we can set up a time to talk again, to talk it through if you run into a brick wall. Thanks.